You're listening to the Two Tongues Podcast. And now your hosts, Kyle and Chris.
Well, hello.
Welcome back, everybody.
Buongiorno, everyone. Gotta get this mic up in my face.
The Two Tongues Podcast. My wife told me that rather than using Two Tongues as the name of the podcast, we should have used, what'd she say, Dialogos.
Dialogos.
Yeah. Two logoi. Is that the right conjugation? I don't know.
Goy, I like that. That's funny. I've thought a few times that calling ourselves the Two Tongues Podcast, I've made jokes about it on, I think, Jason's podcast, that it gives people ammo. It's like kind of a gay name, you know? The Two Tongues Podcast, two dudes.
But here's the thing. If you name yourself something gay and you don't care how gay it sounds,
then it's not gay. It's
not even a little gay.
Yeah.
And it shames all of the haters and the naysayers.
Yeah, it's like, why are you thinking about gay stuff?
Exactly.
Why does saying two tongues with two guys make you think about French kissing, you mo?
Yeah, I mean,
you momo.
That's a deep question that you're going to have to ask yourself if you're one of those people.
Yeah.
Laughing at the Two Tongues Podcast.
Yeah, you... I don't know. I was going to say homophobes.
Listen, this podcast started off way too chipper of a tone for the topic of conversation.
Yeah, what if you can't laugh in the face of adversity, you know?
I just heard something beep.
It's my watch.
I want to make sure my phone is silent. Hold on a second.
I got one of them old-fashioned Casios. This is my grandpa's watch. A lot of people say that, and it's like a cool Rolex or something. For me, it's this
like a rubber
old-school Casio. But...
Is it really your grandpa's watch?
Yeah.
So how old do you think it is? It's like... I
mean, the Casio doesn't even really make this kind of watch anymore. Sure. All of their watches look like the design is completely different.
Yeah.
They still function basically exactly the same. Like, all the buttons still do the same things.
You think it's like from the 90s or 80s or...
I wouldn't be surprised if it's from the early 2000s, something like that.
Still pretty old. It's almost 30 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. It's waterproof. I could shower with it on.
So, you know,
I don't. But
so, you know, I bought that old watch that I wear whenever I wear a watch, which is rarely. I bought that old watch from the Second World War, and I bought it from Europe. It shipped over from Eastern Europe.
Bought a Nazi watch?
It could be. I have no idea. But I like it because it's old, and you said yours is waterproof, and it came from your grandpa. I bought it from somebody's dead grandpa, who, you know what I mean, in Europe, somebody who didn't give a shit about this old watch and just sold it to me for $100.
Yeah.
Whenever I do dishes, or when I went down to Lake Erie with my kids, we were like playing near the water.
You go in the water
I had it on my wrist. I didn't get it wet, but the whole inside of the crystal fogs up whenever it's near water. Even if I'm just washing dishes or something, it'll just fog up. You know,
it unfogs though.
It just when it dries, it unfogs. Yeah.
Huh.
So if anybody's a watch expert and understands how to fix that problem, let me know.
There's got to be a word for a watch expert, like a person who works on watches.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
I don't know what the fuck it is though.
It's something cool like a cobbler.
A time cobbler.
A time cobbler. Oh boy, I'd like to call this episode Time Cobbler, but it's not appropriate.
Yeah, you know, one thing we've been working on the Two Tongues Podcast is trying to bring in the traffic, you know, and I've noticed over the last couple months that the titles, they seem to do that, you know.
They do, and I hate it. And I'll tell you why I hate it.
You've always been. Let me just guess why you hate it.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
you've always been like you like coming up with the clever. Like when we had Ross on, he said the Dandelion Trust, and that just like sparks something in your imagination.
Yep.
You love that kind of shit.
Not only do I love that kind of shit, 2 of the tattoos that I have are based off of just such an occasion where I heard a phrase. I loved it so much I had to get it tattooed on my body.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you remember back in the day when we would burn CDs and it was like coming up with strange names for the burnt mixes. Like that's a similar it's a similar thing that I think about when I name the podcast episodes, and I want people to appreciate them for that, like for being some kind of homage to that. Mm-hmm. The thing is, it doesn't drive the algorithm.
Yeah.
And so it's like either I give it some clever name that I think is interesting to read that nobody will ever see. It's not going to get upvoted fucking anywhere. Or I name it some nonsense. In fact, you know, I told you I've been listening to a lot of that Gnostic Informant podcast.
Yeah.
Neil, the guy that does it, I fucking love it. Every one of his videos on YouTube has the same description before. It always says, I can't, now it's gonna fucking fail me, but it's some descriptor like you're never gonna believe or something. It's like one of those phrases.
Yeah.
But it's like in every single one. It's got to be an algorithm thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I guess it does suck, but it doesn't really bother me that much because I don't have that particular affliction that you do, you know?
Yeah, understood.
The naming. We could always do like, well, we're going to call this one like Trump Assassination. And then have you ever seen like sometimes with like songs or pieces of music or books, some books have done this. They'll have like a name and then they'll do and then they'll call it this.
Yeah.
Like Bright Eyes, I remember particularly. I can't remember the first part of it. I cannot remember the first. It's like some word. I think I want to say it's lifted, but I don't think that's right. It's lifted or the story is in the soil. Keep your ear to the ground.
Yeah,
I don't remember, but you could do something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But you,
it takes away the poetic ring, which I like to try to create.
Yeah, you really get into. You are the person who does the naming of the episodes and the writing of the descriptions and stuff like that. And you put more effort into it than I would. If I was in charge of it, which if you ever want to tap out on that, I would be happy to do, but it would change drastically.
Yeah. But maybe it would be for the better because, listen, I don't read. I listen to lots of podcasts. Yeah. I don't read the descriptions of anyone ever. I don't have any way of comparing what I do to what anyone else does because I've never fucking looked.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I just click play. I look at the title of the episode and I click play.
Yeah.
So, but you know, there are a lot of people that will put in the description, like we talked about, or even like Jordan Peterson, he will do that little intro bit in the beginning where he says, today I'm talking to blah, 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 and we discussed this, and this. So you know what you're going to get.
I don't know how much time we got today. You know, how long this Trump stuff is going to take, but I got some stuff to say about Jordan Peterson. Not happy with that fella.
So I read something the other day about Uber Boyo on Twitter. He said that Jordan Peterson's basically shilling for Israel, and I don't know what Jordan said that gave him that impression, but it rubbed me the wrong way reading it. So it's I
agree with him.
It's difficult for me to believe, so I'm going to need to hear some.
Okay.
All right, but that's neither here nor there. Do you want to?
We got.
All right, so
go ahead.
So I wanted to talk. Obviously, well, I didn't. I don't know that I want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about.
Seems to make sense to talk about it.
Right. What is the most topical thing right now? Somebody tried to.
Well, it is July 14th. So yesterday there was a big happening. I felt yesterday with what we're talking about more of a sense of being in history than I have in a long time. You know, it's like this is a historical event.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of how I wanted to get into this myself. I wanted to ask you, like when people say, "Where were you when you heard John F. Kennedy was assassinated?" Or
I was not alive.
Or we've had that conversation before when we think of, is it a stark memory when you learned of the 9/11 attacks?
Yeah.
Because this is a comparable situation.
Yeah.
So with the attempted assassination of President Trump, what were you doing? How did the news break?
I was just driving around. I had my dog in the back seat, and you know, I like to go for drives, listen to podcasts, go for drives, and I saw a news thing on my phone. It wasn't actually from like a news app; it was from the Telegram app. And it was someone on Telegram posting about it. So I actually found out about it like
right away,
minutes after it happened.
So when did it happen? Do you remember what time that was precisely?
I don't particularly. I think it might have been around like 7, but
okay,
my memory's failing me.
So I was also in the car.
Yeah.
The whole family in the car driving. And I get a text from my mom, and I look at my phone and it says, "They shot Trump." And I immediately opened up the news app and I went through the stories and there was nothing in the news app. So I called my mom And I'm like, what do you mean? What's going on? And she's like, they fucking shot him. She's excited. She's excited. You know, I can't remember what she said, but something to the tune of like, you know, it's all over. Shit hits the fan. You know, they shot Trump.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't know whether he was dead or injured or what the situation was.
She didn't give you that much information?
No. What happened after that, man? I mean, eventually I got home. I know I called you.
I texted you.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we're going to have to talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then you called me.
Yeah.
You called me like a couple minutes later. Hopefully I gave you a better rundown. A little bit better of a rundown.
And you did. You filled me in on the details that I wanted to know. Also, maybe a little bit prophetic, because when you told me that the shooter was killed, when I got home and turned on the news, it didn't seem like that was certain for a while. Yeah. Like, you know, they weren't saying that for a little while afterwards. So I don't know.
I don't fuck with mainstream news too much. I did watch some of it yesterday. I watch it on occasion, but generally I listen to like smaller like news streamers, things like that.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
You know, they tend to, you know, you'd think that these big news organizations would be able to like disseminate information more quickly, but the streamers are generally quicker.
Yep.
You get a better accounting of it. You get more information. So
what are your thoughts? What's the most burning?
I think I'm not surprised that it happened. I'm kind of shocked that it took this long, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm glad he didn't die.
Yep.
You know, I really, it annoys me when people like couch support for Trump in like, I'm not a huge Trump supporter or anything like that. But that is the truth. Like, I do like Trump. I'm 100% voting for him. I mean, I was already 100% voting for him. Now I'm 200% voting for him.
Yep.
But it's the truth. I don't like all of his positions. You know, I think that his positions are better than everyone else's by a mile. But yeah, I don't have enough big arguments about him to like really be complaining. So I just don't like, it just annoys me. I don't want to do that, but I'm glad he's not dead.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And the whole thing is so insane, man, because like he was so close.
Oh yeah.
It was like really, really close.
Really close.
Close to being, you know, instead of the crazy video that we got, we could have gotten a video of a president taking one to the head and, you know, being dead.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because we can just speculate, and it might be a little fun in this tragic situation to have a little fun. So imagine Trump hadn't turned his head, or this guy, you know, just had a little bit better aim. What do you think would be happening right now?
I think that the left would be celebrating. I mean,
do you think they would be publicly celebrating?
Oh yeah.
I mean, like regular people, I think would be, but do you think the commentators and the politicians?
Yeah. I think that they might try, and they're doing this to some extent. They would pay some lip service to, that's terrible. Political violence is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. But fuck yeah, you know, like we got him. You know, yeah. I fully believe that would be happening.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's happening. He didn't get killed, but they're doing that shit now. They're like, you've had a bunch of people saying things like, you know, like, this is why you got to practice, you know, this is why you got to dial in your aim, shit like that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Dude, a lot of like leftist people have said some really despicable shit in the last like 24 hours.
So it's strange. It's like I should say that nothing surprises me anymore, but every time I think that, I am surprised again. And so earlier today, I was talking to my wife's aunt, and I said, "Mark my words, in 3 days or a week's time, when this sort of begins to die down, you know, as a story, you're going to start seeing lefties say the most outrageous shit. They're going to stop talking about how, you know, political violence can't be tolerated. They're going to stop Stop all that stuff, and they're going to start talking about how Trump brought it on himself.
They're already doing it.
That's what surprised me.
Yeah, dude.
I told Linda within a couple of days this was going to start to happen. It was already all over the internet. But while those words were coming out of my mouth, these people, these motherfuckers didn't wait out of respect a couple of days pretending that this is a tragedy.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Nope.
And that is a whole different kind of human being.
It's
that.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to start
all worked
ranting.
up.
Yeah.
It's because they hate Donald Trump. They hate Donald Trump supporters. And there's like, sometimes people say things are thinly veiled. Mm-hmm. It's not even thinly veiled. It's naked hatred for Donald Trump and Donald Trump supporters. It's despicable. And like you said that, you're getting, like, you don't think anything's going to surprise you, but then nothing does surprise me. Like these people are vile. They're, I said I wanted to talk about Jordan Peterson. And one thing that like that whole thing has been revolving around is calling people rats. Mm-hmm. And these people are fucking rats, man. All of these people, they're like despicable, vile, like subhuman.
Yep.
They're like demons.
And not only that, they're the same people that believe themselves to be morally and intellectually superior to the people on the right. We're a bunch of hillbillies. We don't have the college degrees to the level that they do. They're elites. They're superior people, and that's what they've been telling themselves and each other for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. And now it's deteriorated to that echo chamber has literally created demons. Man, that's the right word. People who. Listen, I've said before, this whole Donald Trump derangement syndrome, I don't understand why people hate him as much as they do.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a crass time. We have a crass culture and a crass society. People say whatever they want. The most disgusting shit people have ever said, they say today. Like, there's no boundaries anymore. There's no shame anymore. Nobody gives a shit.
Yep.
But people hate Trump so much, and there isn't a reason. The thing that there's all kinds of things you can point to, but nothing that justifies that level of crazy about it.
I think that I could make a good case for why people. I'm not saying that it's true or good, but
I think people that Trump is a symbol like Batman, and people can put whatever they want. They can dump whatever they want into that symbol, and they have good reasons to hate all the things in there that they're dumping into the symbol. Then they take it out on the man who has nothing to do with that shit.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Something like that.
There's some truth to that. I think that part of it boils down to like shifts in history. Kind of like lining up with the stuff that Jason Myronchuk from 2-Bit is talking about, like spirits of the age, things like that. Ever since World War II, ever since the post Nuremberg regime, and all over the West,
Mm-hmm.
There's been this idea that being right wing is like criminal. If you're too far to the right, you're a criminal. You're a bad person.
Yep.
And that's just becoming, over the decades, that's just become more and more and more extreme. And that like marker for what makes somebody too far right has been moving farther and farther to the left over the decades,
right.
And the Republicans and conservatives, across the West have been worthless. They've been complete fucking garbage, and just letting that creep and creep and creep farther to the left,
Yep.
So, I mean, then I think that plays a big part in why people are having such a big reaction to Donald Trump. It's like a cultural thing, It's like, if you went to some foreign country and you started like spitting on their flag, or, like some terrible thing, like insulting their ways of life, that's what these people who live in the West feel like Donald Trump is doing. It's like we hold what's the word? Like liberal democracy. We hold that sacred, even though Trump is, in my opinion, like I was saying, I don't like to like couch my support for Trump. Well, one of the things that I wish Trump would be, I think he could be more anti-democratic, to be perfectly honest with you.
Sure.
Like having a podcast with like ideas like mine, it's it's all. I feel like it's only a matter of time before I piss someone off because I'm way further to the right than Trump is. Way further to the right than Trump is.
Right.
So,
So do you remember when Jordan Peterson was, and this is something he did continually, but for a while he talks about how the Second World War period showed the world where the right goes too far. How it goes when the right goes too far. We have this stark example in the Second World War we can point to. And every time he got a progressive or a lefty there in front of him, he would say, "Can you tell me how we know when the left goes too far?" And nobody has ever been able to answer it. He got the most ridiculous answers, including it's impossible for the left to go too far.
Yeah.
And so this is what we're seeing now. We're seeing, identical. I don't know what word to use.
Identical.
The same sort of behavior that they point to when the right goes too far, happening on the left.
Like patterns of behavior.
Patterns of behavior, and it's funny because it's not different behavior.
Yeah.
It's the same fascist behavior that the left once pretends to hate so much.
Yeah.
And they're doing that.
Like what?
Like inciting violence, like weaponizing the government,
yeah.
Like fuckery with the elections, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. That thing about inciting violence is curious to me because this is like one of the things when I said earlier that it's basically criminal to be on the right, too far to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And like you look at, we're going to play some clips of the left inciting violence and then denying that that's what they're doing.
Yes.
At what point when they're inciting violence, they just tried to assassinate a former president and likely the future president of the United States. At what point are we allowed to defend ourselves, And at what point when we take power are we justified in putting some boots to asses,
Yeah. So that's one of the things that Jason Maranchak mentioned to us when we spoke to him about the vengeful son.
Yeah.
He said, it's going to feel good. You remember that?
Yeah, for sure.
And he's not wrong. And that should be scary. It should be scary to people on the right.
Yeah. I think the issue that I have with that is that if we avoid doing any of it, then we're just going to be right back. We're never going to leave. Not only are we going to be right back in this position, we're never going to leave the position we're in.
Right.
That's almost like the problem that I have with libertarianism. It's like we have all these principles and we can't violate these principles because they're so sacredly and deeply held by us. But because of those principles, we're going to lose constantly.
Yeah.
So if we are afraid of the vengeful son to the point where we cripple ourselves, we make ourselves completely powerless, well then we're just going to lose. We're just going to keep losing,
Yeah. I don't think the right answer is to do nothing.
Yeah.
I think that Jason's warning is to know when enough is enough. And it's going to feel good and so it's going to be difficult to stop. I agree with you that the law needs to be laid down. There needs to be law and order, yeah. and there fucking isn't. From BLM and riots to the attempted assassination of a presidential candidate, it's lawlessness.
Yeah.
So the law has to be brought down. At a minimum, people need to fucking know you can't come here illegally. You can't skirt around the law. You can't follow the fucking rules. You know?
You can't not follow the fucking rules?
No, I went off on 2 sentences at one time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that my preference for the rules would be a lot stricter than a lot of people's, you know?
True.
And I think that it needs to be a lot stricter than a lot of people's because, again, it's kind of like the libertarian thing. It's like we're going to dial it back just a little bit, and then in a year, we're going to be right fucking back here.
See, this is what gets me about listening to Proxenos.
Yeah.
Because this has happened to me many times. I, just like many people, am susceptible to the propaganda that is fed to me. And I'm getting wiser and wiser, but I still am susceptible to it. And so when someone like Proxenos says that a totalitarian government like China might actually be better for human thriving because they mandate a cultural conservatism that allows for human flourishing, and they're very, very strict about it. And that can only work with a iron fist. And you know, I'm getting lost in my own thoughts here. But
happens.
But yeah, it's like hearing Proxenos say something like that, and understanding in some way that he's not wrong. But all of this like ingrained,
you've got all this programming
that's like, but communism and totalitarianism and it's and it's a virus, and and then and even Proxenos is like, don't give him 1 fucking inch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like Proxenos. He's a good guy. I'm like, I don't necessarily know if Proxenos realizes how like on the same page I am with him. Like I've given up a lot of my liberal programming. I think that a authoritarian government that is guided by Christian principles, I think, is going to give people some. Well, here's the thing about Christianity. I can't put a gun to your head and tell you you're a Christian or I'm going to kill you, Sure. I can put a gun to your head and say you need to tell me you're a Christian.
Right.
But that's not a very Christian thing to do.
No, it's not.
But what I can do is say, if you want to live around me, you better fucking act like a Christian. You don't have to be one. You better fucking act like one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can do that. I don't think there's any problem with that. And that's kind of what I want,
Yeah.
I want more of that. And I think if we do that, people will see the improvement in society and they will want more of it.
Yeah, man, like I know that will marginalize some people. Like I know that.
Fuck them.
And that was true historically when the culture was more conservative, if you want to call it that, historically, that those people were marginalized. But then I see things like what the gay pride parades have become and what Pride Month has become, and it's just like story after story after story about conflict, about grown men and women's clothes around children. It's like once you get to that point, then Proxenos starts making sense, man. Not a fucking inch.
Yeah,
man,
for sure.
You want to be kind and compassionate. You want to make room for those marginalized people. You want to make them feel accepted. And you want to love them.
I want the marginalized people to be on the margin. Jonathan Peugeot talks about, you've got like a circle, right? And in the center of the circle, you've got everything that is good, decent, normal, like everything that is normative, as the people like to say. These, heteronormativity.
Yeah.
That's in the center. That's what I want in the center. If you want to dress in women's clothing, you got to be out on the edge, buddy.
Right.
And if you try to bring that into the center, the world I want, that's not going to work out for you too well.
And I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, I don't either. I think that, honestly, in my world, you're lucky we're letting you have the margins.
Right.
You should be thankful for the margins.
All right, we're getting too far off the presidential assassination.
I was actually just going to say the same thing.
So this is where I think I want to I mean, you can steer the ship if you want, but this is what I think I would like to talk about. We brought up the topic of inciting violence, and I think that's as good a place as any to start.
Let's show the video. I have the video of what happened.
Okay, yeah.
Let's play that.
Yeah, dude.
I'll send it to
while
you.
you're doing that, I'm just going to recap something that I said on the show before about this idea of inciting violence. Do you remember when we were talking about yelling fire in a crowded theater?
Yeah.
We were talking about freedom of speech for a while, because of all the gender pronouns and all that stuff. And at one point I said, and I believe this, that if somebody yells fire in a crowded theater and you are so much of a savage that you will stomp over people and crush them to death on the way out, the person who yelled fire is not a criminal. The person who stomped on you and killed you on the way out, that person is a criminal.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you.
No, you're good, man. I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
So the reason I say this is because I want the audience to understand I don't really believe in inciting violence. Like I understand that people use that phrase. They pretend that in certain instances people have such power over other people that the mere suggestion that they do something they shouldn't do is something that they cannot overcome, and they're going to do something bad, and if they do, it's not their fault. Mm-hmm. I don't buy that argument in the slightest, and I think the law is wrong, and I think if you can enforce that somebody incited violence and put them in jail, I think that is unconscionable. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's pointing the finger at the wrong person. So I just want to make it really clear that I don't believe in this idea of inciting violence. However, the left believes in it, and they've been shoving it down our throats. It's been hot in the news for months and months on end.
Yeah.
And they believe that if you are incited, that somehow the blame is on the person that incited it and not the person that acted it out. Like Charles Manson ends up in jail and never killed anybody. Mm-hmm. All of his little fledglings killed people at his direction. Mm-hmm. I don't think Charles Manson should be in jail for that. I honestly don't. The people who did it.
I think it depends. I mean, it definitely depends, because if the way that the left says that we incite people, one of the main roles that I think Donald Trump played, one of the best things that he's done, is made people see that the media is dishonest as hell. And in the way that happened would be, they would say, Donald Trump said something terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And I'd go look it up, and it was completely fucking out of context, and he didn't actually say that.
Yep.
It's like recently, one of the most recent incitements to violence that what the fuck? Why did that happen?
I don't know. Pause it.
But one of the most recent ones is he said that if we don't win, there's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And it's not, he didn't mean that a bunch of people are going to get killed. He meant, economically things are going to be terrible.
That's exactly the context of what he was saying. Yes.
Yeah. So, but that's not what Charles Manson did. If you literally say, go out and kill some people, just because you didn't actually do it doesn't mean that you're not responsible.
So I know we want to play this video, but I want to say one thing before we do.
We got all the time in the world. Man.
I think that this whole conversation that we're having is far simpler than we're making it, and I'll tell you what I mean by this. My mother told me, and I'm sure yours did, that if your friend did something wrong, if your friend would jump off of a cliff, would you follow them? If they told you to jump off of a cliff, would you jump off of a cliff? Your mother gave you that, did she not? Have you heard that before? Yeah. If your friend did it, told you to do it, would you do it? That was all my mother had to tell me. And it made perfect sense in my 8-year-old fucking brain that just because someone told me to do something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, and I have to think for myself. This is what I mean when I say if someone shouts fire or if someone incites violence, the person who's trying to fuck with you is a terrible, immoral person, but is not criminal. If somebody stomps over you in the movie theater to get out because they think there's an emergency, that person is a fucking asshole who only cares about himself and would intentionally kill you to save his own life. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. I definitely see what you're saying, but I think that analogy doesn't line up that well,
with inciting violence politically?
Yeah, like violence? The yelling fire, like people are going to do crazy things if they think that their life is in danger.
If Charles Manson told you to kill someone,
that's my point. That's what I'm saying is those things don't line up.
How not?
Because if you are afraid that you're going to burn to death, it makes sense that you are going to care about yourself. Whereas if somebody tells you, "Hey, go kill that guy," you should have. It's not the same thing.
So in a
I'm not saying that like trampling over people in a theater that's not actually burning is good, Oh,
I think
it's different.
I think it is different, but I think you have a moral responsibility not to run over someone and stomp on their head on the way out.
What if you're in a crowd, okay, and you got your baby with you, and somebody says that, there's like a bang, and it wasn't a shot, it's like a muffler backfiring or something, and someone's like, there's a shooter, and you've got your baby and you're trying to save your baby. And like, if you take your time, maybe you and your baby die.
Yeah, you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do, for sure. But I think if every human being in that crowd took it seriously, that they have a moral responsibility, even in a panic, not to kill somebody else. If everybody believed that in their heart of hearts, there wouldn't be stampedes.
Yeah. I agree with you, but I just think that's asking a lot from people.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I'm
a
bit of an idealist.
And I still think that those, like the fire in a crowded theater and Charles Manson, they don't like completely line up.
Well, I'm not going to argue that they don't completely line up, but I think there's something common about that.
Yeah.
Where the analogy fits. All right, let's go. What do we got here? Oh, this is the actual thing here. Okay.
Yeah, this is the video of what happened.
You see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Jesus, man. So there were 2 shots before he touched his ear.
There's a couple things here that I want to listen for. One of the things, we'll get to it. I don't want to go to that yet. It already happened, but. Shooters down. One of the things are the things that Trump starts saying when he gets up.
Yeah.
Have you heard these? Let me get my shoes.
Yeah.
Let me get my shoes. Okay, so that's enough of that.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh yeah. We'll let the fight. Dude, the presence of mind to just taking a bullet to the ear and having that presence of mind to stand up and like the PR sense in that heated moment.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's, I don't know, would you call it admirable? I think in some way you have to call it admirable.
Yeah, it's definitely I think it's admirable. I mean, that's like the qualities of a leader. You know what I'm saying? A person who's got a cool head under pressure.
Yep.
And like will galvanize people, in a time of crisis.
Somebody that runs into the shit and grabs that flag off the ground and pulls it back up in the air to rally the troops. Yeah, that kind of shit.
Yep. So that's basically what happened. That was the situation. And I mean, there's a lot that I think is weird about what happened,
Sure.
And so first of all, like you look, he's got a screen over and he's like talking about it and he like turns his head. He gets. I'm just going to use my left ear because it's like to the camera. He's like he's got his head kind of like this, looking at the crowd, and he goes to turn to look at the screen, and he turns, and the bullet grazes his ear.
Yeah.
So had he not turned, that bullet probably would have hit him directly in the side of the head.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people are like, this shooter clearly wasn't a pro because, and obviously he wasn't a pro. It doesn't seem like he was, but they say a pro wouldn't have missed. And I don't know, man. Like even the pros, like sometimes weird shit happens, you know?
Sure.
And that's a weird thing to happen, you know?
It is a weird thing to happen.
You know, it's down to like the wind and just the fact that he like turned his head a couple of degrees, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been a completely different situation.
Yeah, I feel like that moment there was a quantum. What do they call it? Where time shifts into two different directions. Yeah, two different timelines.
I think there's a level of like fate and providence, you know, that it's like hard to describe why it went that way and not the other way.
Yeah.
But a more conspiratorial and, you know, like man-made thing, it's like, think about JFK getting assassinated, okay? It makes so much more sense that could have happened because it's in an urban area. There's buildings all around, lots of windows, with, you know, lots of opportunity for a sniper and, you know, to have a good location. This isn't a fucking fairground in the middle of bumfucked Egypt, Pennsylvania.
Right.
At a farm.
Right. How
in the world did Secret Service let a sniper get up onto the roof? And I don't understand how it can be. There's two options in my mind. Option one, best case scenario, it's a total failure of the Secret Service.
Right.
Everybody who is involved should be gone. Should be not on the Secret Service details anymore, ever. In my opinion.
Yeah. Option
B is that somebody in the Secret Service is in on it.
Yeah.
Would that surprise you at all?
No.
Me neither.
No, when the Department of Justice and the FBI and the CIA are all using every legal means possible and inventing a couple of novel ones to continue to go after Trump, does it surprise me that somebody looked the other way or was paid off to allow something like that to happen? Whether or not that's true doesn't matter. The fact that it doesn't surprise me is a problem. Yeah. Even if it's not true, even if it's a fluke, even if this kid managed to climb up onto the top of that building when nobody was looking and was like a cat, stealth-like, and nobody saw him, you know, and nobody checked that building afterwards. If all of these sort of things line up, you know, it's possible.
I'm going to send another video over real quick.
Not super likely.
What's not super likely?
That it was a serendipity that he managed to get up there undetected.
I thought you were saying that, like, in my mind, it's like 50-50. You know, that's how fucked things are in this country.
Yeah.
So this is a video of a BBC reporter interviewing some fella that wasn't actually in the event. He was outside of the event and just listening.
Okay.
So a lot of people were very frightened. Greg was someone who was here. You weren't inside the event, but you were just outside. Tell us what you saw.
So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farming Greenhouse here. We had a party, and we all decided, hey, you know, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees up there under the shade, and and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, you know. But we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, you know, we're pointing We're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle.
Jesus.
Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage?
This guy should be the director of the Secret Service, apparently.
Yeah.
He's more on top of things than the people who are supposed to be protecting the president.
Do you think this guy, just out of curiosity, do you think this guy had a moral obligation to do more than tell the police when he realized the police weren't doing anything?
No, I don't really think that he did. If he did decide to, I wouldn't blame him for doing that either. But like, do you have a moral obligation to like run at a guy with a gun? You know, I don't know. I don't really. There are people there who are supposed to be fucking doing that.
Right.
It's their job to be doing that. But let's finish this real quick.
They're pointing at him for 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us
2 or 3
from
minutes.
the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this, and next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up
you
there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling
Yep.
the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret
Is he holding a
Service.
beer?
They were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
So, Guy Fieri's son here, he's more on top of things than the Secret Service and the cops who are there. I heard, I didn't save it, but I heard not a Secret Service person, but a police officer went up the same ladder, and that the shooter pointed his gun at him, and he like went back down the ladder.
What?
Yeah. And I do have a problem with that. Like, you know, it's you swore an oath, man.
Right.
You took an oath to protect, protect and serve, and you're being a coward. Got a real problem with that.
Unacceptable.
So, yeah, they don't have drones flying about. They don't have a helicopter.
That's an interesting question.
Why? It makes you wonder, man. We don't need to pull this up. I'll just read this one.
Yep.
This is a tweet from probably the best congressman we've got. See if I can find it here. I bookmarked a lot of stuff. Thomas Massey from Kentucky. The same bureau that investigated the Las Vegas shooting and the January 6th pipe bombs is now investigating the attempted assassination of Trump. This is the same bureau that raided Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of this soon. It's just like the faith in the institutions is at such an all-time low that how can you watch what happened yesterday and not believe? Like I said, I think it's like 50-50. Either they're just shit at their jobs and they all need to get fired, or somebody was in on it. And honestly, I might even lean a little bit more towards somebody was in on it.
So I'm listening to you, and I can't disagree with you. And not that I want to, but I can't. And everybody listening here, honestly, who's being honest with themselves, can't disagree with you either. That it is an equally likely situation that what happened was a terrible breakdown of strategy or a planned event. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, we're already hearing liberals suggest that it was planned by Trump.
Yeah, that it's a staged event, and that the guy who shot was a crisis actor. And you know what it reminds me of? Have you heard these people who, when some black person gets shot by a cop, and they're like, is it really necessary? You really had to shoot them? Why couldn't you just shoot them in the leg? These people who have never fired a gun in their fucking lives are like, why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Do you know how fucking retarded and unrealistic it is to... Dude, if Trump was so comfortable with like, yeah, I'm going to stand here and you're going to shoot a bullet and graze my ear. That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right.
If Trump would agree to that, if it went wrong, he would deserve it.
Exactly.
So,
if anything goes wrong, he's a dead man.
And this guy who was the gunman, Crooks, whatever, Crooks is his last name, which is just funny, because he's a crook, you know?
Right.
This guy agreed to take a bullet to the head for this cause.
Right.
Did you see the photo of him dead?
Yeah.
Like he took it like in the face here and it came out like the back of his neck.
Yeah, it did.
Fucking brutal, man. It's hilarious to me that these liberal people who spent 8 years at this point talking about how the QAnon conspiracy theorists are retarded, they've turned into QAnon conspiracy theorists. They're like, it's a staged, you know, they're like liberal Alex Jones.
Did you hear there was like some tremendous amount of money that the Dems spent on negative campaign ads against Trump, and after this they had to pull them all.
Oh yeah,
because it looks terrible, right?
Yeah,
I think they said there were like 53 different ads they had to pull.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I mean, because all of their rhetoric is murderous. You know, it's
right?
Like
absolutely,
it's not literally saying go out and murder someone, but I've heard people say this before. It's like if you lived in, 1930s Germany, and it's like if you really believe the narrative about World War II, it's like, don't you have some kind of an obligation to take Hitler out? If you really believe all of that stuff and you have an open shot at Hitler, is it wrong to take that shot? So they're building everyone up to believe that Trump is literally Hitler.
Right.
And you have a guy who took a shot at him. It's like, can you even fucking blame him?
Yeah, exactly.
But doesn't that kind of, you saying exactly, doesn't that kind of contradict what you were saying about...
It does, but I was very open about that from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
I said the left believes that there's such a thing as inciting violence, and if they set the criteria, this is what constitutes a criminal act, inciting violence, they have absolutely done that.
Yeah.
In fact, they have been doing it for years at this point, and nobody has called them on it.
Well, I mean, people have called them on it, but they just don't take it seriously.
No.
It's like, oh, you're a right wing retard.
Right.
You didn't go to college.
I cannot believe how hypocritical the Democrat politicians have become, and they don't even care. They wear it as a badge of honor.
It's almost more disappointing to me. Like, I expect politicians to be bags of shit and just hypocrites and the worst possible people. On both sides, not just the Democrats, Republicans too. It's more disappointing to me that so many normal people have bought into this wholesale. You know, it's really disappointing.
The thing that is the most baffling to me, and I've told you this before, as I bring up my grandmother from time to time and my uncle, how old school Democrats have been so easily co-opted by this new leftism. I don't even know what you call it. It's so extreme. And you've got people that are 70 years old that grew up their entire lives when the Democrats were the liberal democracy supporters that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. They're not anymore. They're I don't even know. They're definitely totalitarian, but they're nothing. There is nothing liberal about the left anymore. So the problem is that they change the meaning of words. That's the problem. When I say liberal, I mean classical liberal. There's not a speck.
I don't know, man. That doesn't really change it for me, because it goes back to like classical liberalism, libertarianism, same fucking thing.
Maybe so, but is a progressive lefty person, is any Democrat like that today? A classical liberal?
Yeah, I kind of think that they are, because it's like, it's kind of like we were talking about with the Andrew Wilson, Dave Smith debate. It's like, do as thou wilt. You know what I mean? And I think that classical liberal attitude, and that this kind of ties back into what we were talking about with the authoritarianism and, how Proxenos feels. It's like, we've allowed people to get to this point, and we didn't have to, but this liberal idea that that a lot of like conservative people think was so much better 200 years ago. It fucking wasn't, man. It wasn't. It was just a ticking time bomb to get to where we are now.
I don't disagree. But one thing that sticks in my craw, is that the right expression?
I think so. Is
the idea that classical liberals don't believe in law and order and law enforcement. Even liberals, even lefties, all the way up until, I don't know, Vietnam, understood that law and order, it's important for the structure and stability of the society and the government to enforce the laws.
Yeah.
They don't believe that anymore.
But they do, though. They believe that their law should be enforced. Right? Think about during, the coup regime, when we were all sheltering and couldn't leave our houses and we're all worried about getting a cold.
Yep.
Think about like what happened in Seattle and places like that when they like took over entire city blocks.
Yep. They
had enforcement. They had people walking around with guns. They had areas roped off for, this is a black area. This is like, so they do think that their laws and their ideals should be enforced. The problem is that we, the conservative side, I don't even like that fucking word anymore. But whatever, it's like what the fuck? We have to make up new words, but I don't want to.
Yep.
So I'm just going to say the conservative side, we've been poisoned by this classical liberal thing. It's like, oh, but we can't enforce our ideals. We can't, it's like we have to concede ground. And, again, calls back to Proxenos. Not one fucking inch. You can't have it. You're going to do shit the way that I say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm very, very torn on all this because
boots to asses.
I see your point, man. It's a weird place to be.
Yeah.
All right, let me play one of my videos.
Right.
Let's see. I want to talk about the incitement of violence. Oh, this is not it. Where am I at? Oh, I gotta.
Yeah, you gotta go to.
All right. Sorry, you guys.
No, in that video thing, just scroll up a little bit. All yours are there.
All right. Well, let's show this one first of all. It's funny because I seem to remember seeing this.
I don't think that we could play that still, but I don't think that's actually that guy. That's an old video.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I remember seeing it before.
Yeah.
It would be quite the coincidence.
It would be crazy. I'm not saying that it's definitely not, but I would need some kind of verification. We can play. It's an entertaining video. I love watching liberals melt down in public.
Oh, what am I doing here?
Yeah, click on the actual tweet.
Oh, okay.
To bring it up.
There we go. All right, let me pause this. And
make the video big. What? Where's it playing from?
Oh, yeah. It's weird. There he goes. Now, even if that's not him,
it's a good indication of how they feel.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
It's still playing somewhere.
Shut up. All right.
Oh, it was playing in the message.
Gotcha. Still doing
it. Yeah. There you go.
Knock it off, man. Okay. So, that wasn't even the video I wanted to show you. But even if that isn't him, it clearly demonstrates
it's basically him.
It's basically him.
Yeah.
And that isn't a person that is organically created.
Yeah.
That is a person that is intentionally designed. Right? There's a certain amount of brainwashing that has to be done to make a person behave that way.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
I know you're not the most online guy in the world, so you probably know this, but have you heard the term NPC?
Yeah, non-playing character.
Yeah, and how liberals are all basically NPCs. I mean, a lot of people who consider themselves conservative are NPCs too. But
that's also true. But that goes back to the thing we said earlier about how the liberals continue to position themselves and think of themselves as the elite of society, and their as much, if not more, NPC-ish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know? Sorry, anything else on that?
One thing, the great and wise Daryl Cooper, I was listening to something he did, and he was talking about how if you can look at every other person in the world and be like, they're NPCs, but I'm not, you're probably like some kind of a narcissist. And I think that there's some level of truth in that for sure. So I don't, I think that I probably have my NPC moments too, to be honest with you.
Well,
but I don't know, man.
Well, I said as much earlier when I said I'm susceptible to the propaganda and the programming. And
everyone is. Propaganda is super effective. Good propaganda is super effective.
It makes me feel when you realize that it's effective and then it's worked on you. There's this sense of shame, like you got duped by like a carnival magician.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, hold on. Let me show this particular video. Where is it? Oh, that's Jordan Peterson. It's not that one. Maybe it is this one. These are the people talking about.
Yeah,
these are
that's a good one.
But the one I wanted to show, is it on here?
Yeah, it's up.
It's up?
Nope, you're too far up. I think it's that one.
Oh, it is this one.
Yeah.
It was like the montage.
Don't click that. Click the. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Kind of quiet.
Yeah, it is kind of quiet. Hold on.
He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he was partly joking and that was taken out of context. But those are indeed his words. And you have heard it from supporters as well. And supporters are certainly, in some parts, angry. And let's remember January 6th. In so many ways for the campaign, January 6th will probably be in the background after yesterday's event. This is a very difficult time.
They want to hold Trump accountable for January 6th on the basis of inciting violence.
That President Trump will highlight this, and President Biden is going to have to figure out how to go forward with his campaign and what exactly they say.
Yeah, that wasn't it. I thought I had a montage one on there.
Yeah, I thought that's what that was.
Oh, whatever.
I'm slightly concerned that wasn't coming through our headphones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was coming out of the computer.
No, but when I turned the volume up, it seemed. Well, but shit, man, I don't know. Maybe. Oh well. I'm gonna let you drive the ship then. No,
I don't think that was anything you did wrong.
So I wanted to say this as far as because I thought I had a montage video of just different clips from various left
this
news.
Might be it. Let's click
try it. Yeah, see if it is.
Why won't it let me make it bigger? There we go.
Most importantly,
shut up, Joe fucking Biden.
All right, here we go.
Most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation. Most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation.
I think there were two in this, so maybe it's the other one. No, not that. Man, I really hate. Why is it taking up the entire fucking screen?
Oh, boy.
Here we go. No, it was just a picture.
Okay.
You must not have sent that one.
Yeah, maybe I overlooked that. Oh, there it is. That one right there. Yep. There's the one.
To our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
He will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute.
A lot of people have tried to draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler. The difference, though, I think makes Donald Trump even more dangerous because he has actually said out loud that it would be okay to terminate the Constitution to keep him in power.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
This fucking
Somebody with
bitch.
those tendencies, though dictatorial, authoritarian tendencies, would be like, oh, okay, we're going to shut this down. We're going to throw these people in jail.
Sounds like Nazism. If it walks like Nazism, if you're not exactly sure what you call it, if you don't call it fascism.
Donald Trump is going to consolidate power, politicize the rule of law, and break down democracy one day at a time.
The man means to throw people in jail who disagree with him, shut down legitimate press outlets, do what he can to literally undermine the rule of law and our country's value. I think it would be the end of our country as we know it.
The only thing that stood between him and the destruction of American democracy was the federal judiciary.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. Fucking Al Sharpton.
All right. So that's what I was hoping to get to. All right. So what I wanted to say was, now that we've seen all of that, let me just try to summarize all the things that they said there. They said that if Trump were to be reelected, that it would be the end of democracy, that he would become an authoritarian, and said he would on day one.
Yeah.
That he would imprison his political opponents, which is something that his political opponents have been trying to do to him for the last several years. Right? It's like all of these terrible things are going to happen. Oh, and by the way, he's even worse than Hitler.
Yeah.
Right?
Where's the body count? You know, if he's worse than Hitler, Hitler killed 6 million Jews. And was the cause for a whole lot more people involved in the actual war. Where's Trump's body count if he's as bad as Hitler? You know, it's like how, on what basis is he worse than Hitler? You know,
great question.
I would like to hear them quantify that.
So, I have a daughter who just turned 5, and she has trouble sometimes containing her anger and aggression, and I have to try to teach her how to behave like a human being. She's a pistol. And I don't know if you remember this when you were a kid, but you remember ever getting mad and be like, "I'll kill you." It's like you go right.
Dude, I had a temper up until a few years ago. So,
but when you're young and you're little, you go right to that. Sometimes, and so she'll say shit like that, and it just struck me today. It's like when you're a toddler and you don't have the ability to control your emotions, and you're led by them, you say and do dramatic things that you end up getting punished for, or you end up regretting until you learn a lesson. And the lesson is, first of all, it's grow the fuck up, And when I see the pattern that's laid itself out over the last few years, every attempt the left has made to bury Donald Trump, and every attempt has failed over every failure more spectacular than the last as they try every which way to try to take him down. And I just see a little toddler trying and getting so frustrated to the point where they just fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And it's like, that isn't even okay for a toddler.
Yeah, you gotta get that out of them.
And why don't you go ahead and play that video of all the libs of TikTok video of all the lefties? Yeah.
Oh, the one
at the top.
Gotcha.
That one.
Okay. Click on this bad boy.
John Wilkes Booth.
Shut up. Bring this up. Show on stream. All right.
John Wilkes Booth, if you can hear us, if you are with us, please, John Wilkes Booth, if you're listening, please.
Let me get this straight, dumbass! You have a fully reloaded shotgun, but you chose to use a 1-bullet.
We're not even sending our best to fucking assassinate. Cause what the hell was that? Lee Harvey Oswald would never, bitch. John Wilkes Booth would never.
Today was like this close to being the best day ever.
Also, the person that at Trump at his rally was exercising that right that all of those Republicans were fighting for. So, can you really blame him?
What in the fuck?
Bunch of demented fucks, man.
So that's the point I want to make, that these people are an illustration of a bunch of angry toddlers that not that nobody ever turned over and spanked on their ass and told them to behave like adults. Mm. And it's put them in a position where now they're celebrating what is, without question, a terrible event in the history of the United States and a scar on our democracy.
Yeah, I definitely know what you're saying, but again, a part of me thinks that in their minds they are acting like adults. They're like, we see a problem, we need to take care of it.
That may be true, but they're not acting like adults, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And in any reasonable person's opinion. You should not be showing glee over an event like this.
I agree with you because I'm on the same side as you.
If it were me, I'm not. I don't want to put myself in the position of president. If the shoe was on the other foot and this happened to Biden, I would not be celebrating.
Yeah, not with Biden. But I can see a world in where, just plot me down in Bolshevik Russia. Mm-hmm. If some czarist took a shot at Lenin, thank God. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you 100%. They're fucking retarded because Donald Trump is not Lenin, But that's the thing. They believe that he is. They've been brainwashed and conditioned into believing that he is.
Oh, man. I hate to...
And that's a sad bit of commentary on, the state of things, You're
not wrong, man. You're not wrong. I look at that Crooks fella and I see a toddler throwing a tantrum. It's just that he's 20 years old and his what he's able to throw a temper tantrum with is not his toys. It's an AR. Yeah. I see him as a fucking toddler having a temper tantrum. To think that this is a justifiable course of action is a terrible thing. But to your point, they've been conditioned to think that it's a heroic thing, and I can't argue with that.
It's just sad that people are so easily conditioned, man. It's like going and I'm starting to sound like a narcissist again. It's like I'm so much, but I think that I am. On some level, it's like I don't believe. Like I just said, I don't want that to happen to Joe Biden. I think that Joe Biden is terrible. I think that Joe Biden is worse than Donald Trump. But I still don't think anyone should fucking take a shot at him.
Correct.
I mean, old age is going to take the shot any day now. But yeah, man, it's just like, why? Why are people so easily conditioned to this? And I think that has to do with that cultural conditioning after World War II and all, this idea that liberal democracy is sacred and,
So when you said that, it made me think of how I felt when I was graduating high school. It was shortly after 9/11 and the whole, everyone's swept up in this patriotism feeling. And there was a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but there was a lot of gravity pulling people into the military at that time. Mm. And then it occurs to me that a certain level of propaganda, a certain amount of brainwashing, programming is necessary to convince anybody to go to war.
Yeah.
Right? You have to think.
Depends. I mean,
unless you're like a psychopath and you just want to go kill people.
I think that there are other options too. Like if your family and your country and you and your livelihood are directly threatened, it doesn't take a whole lot of propaganda. You grab the guns and you go. That's not propaganda. That's reality.
Self-defense. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
yeah,
I think that the feeling of patriotism that I had after 9/11 that made me consider
all propaganda,
signing on a fucking dedicating 4 years of my life,
man. Because I thought about it too back in the day. I was pretty close.
I only felt that way because in my heart, all of those little phrases like, freedom isn't free, and there's a whole legacy of people that died for your freedoms, and you know, you owe it to the future of your society to return the favor, and you know, and just all that stuff. And those are not ideas that I would have ever had on my own. I would have felt that way about defending my family.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I never would have felt that way about my country, or you know, you have to be taught that.
Yeah. Again, I don't think that I'm completely, you know, I think that I am susceptible to propaganda on some level still, you know, just like everyone is. But I wonder what it is about the way that I've developed over the years that at least makes me less susceptible to like that kind of propaganda anymore, you know?
Well, I think it probably has something to do with the fact that you're a little bit, I don't know if incredulous is the right word, but you're somebody who kind of is looking for the fuckery and the bullshit. You're expecting it to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm a very different kind of person, man. I've always been kind of a trusting person, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go
ahead. No, you keep talking. This isn't on screen or anything.
No, I was just saying, I think that your personality, you're expecting there to be something in there that you need to.
But you're not susceptible to it either. I mean, you're talking about me like I'm particularly like that. And I mean, I think that that's true.
I'm getting more and more like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have always kind of had like the old Stone Cold T-shirt, DTA, don't trust anybody, you know?
Yeah.
Which is bad in some ways. It makes it hard to develop close bonds and relationships with people.
It does,
but it also might make you less susceptible to state propaganda, you know?
Yeah.
So, double-edged sword.
Yeah. What do you got for us?
If you want to keep talking about this is kind of like moving it into a different direction. So
no, we can move into a different direction.
So, you know, I was talking about how in my mind there are two options. There's incompetence and there's, you know, nefariousness, you know?
Yep.
And if it is nefarious, like, what do you think? Like, A, who, and B, why? What's your where do you land on that? Who would have allowed this and facilitated this, and why? Because I mean, they're going to say that this is like an Antifa guy and he, you know, just like bought into the rhetoric and made a terrible decision, and that's what they're going to say, and maybe that is the truth, but I don't really buy that.
Yeah.
So like, where do you land on?
Well, the who part, the ultimate who maybe is a more difficult thing to answer, but the who part isn't a very like far stretch, because the idea, like I said earlier, the idea that the FBI and the CIA have been going after Trump like it's a personal vendetta, and you know, more than that, but certainly the agency and the, you know, various departments, federal departments, have been going after him. And they're doing that because the people placed in powerful positions. Well, there's a lot of alliteration there, by the way. The people placed in powerful positions, they're appointed. You know,
another P, kind of,
sort of, and they're you know, a part of the regime. They're on board with all of this stuff, and so much so that they're allowing, I don't know if it's Biden, I don't know who it is. I can't imagine. Biden, of course, is a part of it, but maybe it's bigger than that. Whoever it is that's going after Trump, the whole apparatus. So is it impossible that the same pattern is there in the Secret Service? That there are a bunch of lefty people that work there that hate Trump irrationally like everybody else, or else powerful people have something on them or can bribe them and can make that happen, like has happened with the CIA and the FBI and the Department of Defense and all this.
With the Secret Service, you don't need like everyone in the Secret Service to be a part of it. You need like one person in a powerful position to be like, no, we don't need to we don't need to cover that roof. It's fine. It's too far away for someone to take a shot, you know? Right. You just need one guy. You need, you know, one guy to be like, I think it's all right. We're out here in the middle of nowhere. We don't need drones. We don't need Right. We don't need any aerial video capability to surveil the area.
Yeah.
We don't need a helicopter. It's fine. We're in
right
wherever the fuck it is, Butwell, Pennsylvania, or whatever the hell it is.
Yep.
So like I think a lot of those Secret Service agents who like jumped on top of Trump, they're probably good people who just want to do their job. You know?
I would agree. The ones that reacted the way that they did, immediately jumping on the president, I couldn't say anything conspiratorial about. It's very obvious they did what they were supposed to, what they were there to do.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there.
Yeah. But all right, let's play this video. Everybody's the person who kind of was like the wellspring of this beef with Jordan Peterson that we probably won't have time to talk about.
Who's this dude?
It's hilarious to me that you don't even know by looking at him who he is. When I put it up, people who watch the show are going to be like, man, Chris is a boomer. It's Nick Fuentes.
Oh, Nick Fuentes.
So make no mistake about it. This was not an assassination attempt. This was a coup. This was a failed coup. They put up their MKUltra Manchurian candidate. They put up their mind-controlled assassin, whether it was the Palantir or the CIA or Israel, whatever. They put that person up to kill Trump so that they could control the next administration. Who has the motivation? Let's go through the names. Netanyahu, Stoltenberg, and maybe not him directly, but NATO at large. NATO, the CIA, the defense contractors, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, Rubio, Vance, Thiel. They all would have an interest in Trump going down so that they could get their person in office and have complete control over the White House. There'd be no more fighting over Project 2025. There'd be no more fighting over personnel. There would be a 0% chance that this administration would be anything other than a big giveaway for the highest bidders.
So that's not the end of it, but just like from there, you know, like that's kind of where you were at, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's when I said that it would be harder to pin down the person behind the person. Those names he just rattled off are kind of, you know, what I meant by the person behind the person. I hadn't considered that somebody like Netanyahu might have an interest in that.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense for me. It seems to me like Trump was pretty pro-Israel the whole time. But
yeah, I mean, Trump is definitely more pro-Israel. That's another one of those areas that, like, I don't want to couch my support for Trump, but Trump is more pro-Israel than I would like him to be. But Trump being more pro-Israel than I would like him to be is not pro-Israel enough for Netanyahu and for a lot of these Zionists who are in our government, you know? And that's like, you know, just to touch on the Jordan Peterson thing a little bit, Nick Fuentes is like very popular for being extremely anti-American Zionist, you know? And people want to say that he's anti-Semitic because of that. And I don't know Nick Fuentes.
Yep.
And I would be surprised. So he's you know, talked openly about his support for the work of someone like Ron Unz, who was a Jewish person. So I don't think that Nick Fuentes hates people on the basis of them being, you know, genetically Jewish. But I think that he's, you know, one of the bravest people out there in criticizing American Zionists. I mean, this show, you see the AF on his coffee cup, America First. That's the name of his show. That's the name of his movement. And a lot of these Zionists, people in the government like Chuck Schumer, there's tons of like dual citizen Zionists in our government. It's not debatable. And if you want to act like it is, at this point, it's like something that Jason Myronchuk says. It's like, I'm not going to debate you. You're fucking retarded. And if you want to debate about reality, then I don't want to debate you. You're fucking stupid and you're not worth my time.
Yeah, I think the idea that you have high-level politicians with dual citizenship who are involved with deals, whether they're military or business or whatever, that result in giant transfers of assets or money from the United States to Israel is suspect. That is not something that should be allowed.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be true if it were any country, not just talking about dual citizens with the U.S. and Israel, but that happens to be the topic. But it should be illegal, period. I mean,
yeah. So I think he's going to get into some of the, the Jews who are directly in Biden's sphere. I mean, just off the top of my head, the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. And so to touch on why he's saying NATO and Netanyahu, I mean, what are the two things that we have going on right now in the world? We have the Israel-Palestine conflict, and we have the Ukraine-Russia conflict that we are heavily involved in.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who are pushing for our involvement and to escalate our involvement in those situations are American Zionists.
Yeah.
And they're not America first.
It's harder to understand their support, their interest in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but I can understand why American Zionists would be obviously trying to improve the situation in Israel.
I mean, Zelensky is Jewish, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The hand of the king, that character from Game of Thrones. It's multiple characters, but that archetype from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Kolomoisky, he's Jewish, and there's a lot of interest in. There's a lot of resources in Ukraine, and a lot of people have talked about the idea that Israel's not working out, so Ukraine's the new Israel. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But that's an idea that's been tossed around. But I think he's gonna lay out a bunch of the people who
if Trump were out of the equation. So I think, especially in light of Biden being taken out of the race, the fact that Trump is not the nominee, it's a very tight window. It was the last rally. I think it was a coup attempt to discard Trump, select a new nominee, and whoever would get in would owe them everything. And what's more, maybe Trump doesn't give Israel South Lebanon. Maybe he doesn't give them the West Bank, and maybe he gives Putin all of eastern Ukraine. That's what this is really about.
Does that not make sense to you?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's likely that Trump is not going to give Israel he's very pro-Israel, but again, not pro-Israel enough for these people. And the same thing with Russia, Ukraine. It's he's going, if he decides he's going to give Eastern Russia to Putin, that's a lot of resources and time that we've sunk into, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
We get no payoff for it. Aside from not going to World War III.
Right, yeah.
But that's not good enough for these fucking people.
So to me, the prime culprits are Netanyahu and the CIA, or some combination of the two. But it's very much a JFK situation. It's the same. That's the reason why it's such a conundrum to unravel the JFK assassination, because multiple people wanted him dead. It's actually the same people. The CIA wanted their war in Cuba. Israel wanted their nuclear bomb. Israel didn't want AIPAC or the Jewish agency to be registered under FARA. So who killed them? It's hard to say. I think it was Israel. I think Israel played the bigger role, but regardless, a lot of people wanted him dead. And it was over these world historical decisions that are made by the commander-in-chief about these all-important wars. And what happens in South Lebanon defines Israel for the next 50 years after their go-for-broke, once-and-for-all war that is justified by October 7th. And same in Ukraine. You don't get another chance to fight Russia like this. You don't get another chance. Once Ukraine becomes a rump state, they're never joining NATO. It's over if Trump gets in. So I think that is the motivation for all of this. Of course, it goes without saying there is the possibility that it was a nut job. That's a possibility. We're in this situation now where nobody believes anything. Some people say it was staged. Some people say the assassination attempt was a staged thing. It was fake blood. That's how, some people are really out there. So if there is a conspiracy, that's what it is. How do we know it's a conspiracy? Well, there was a cleanup job. It should have never happened. and the timing and the enormous benefit. It would have been some shake. It would have been some deal if they were able to get somebody else in the White House. Now, it could have just been some nut job. And in that case, people are right when they say that the media's conditioned people to become violent with their hatred of Trump and of the right. I mean, that's all true. And maybe that's possible. But I think there's a high degree of confidence. I think it's very likely that this was some deep state foreign intelligence operation to coup the president right before the decision is made about who's going to beat Biden in this cycle. They realize Biden can't do it, and they realize it's over for NATO, and they realize that Trump is now in the driver's seat, and they said, maybe there's a chance we could get Nikki Haley, and when all is said and done, they win. And that's the darkest timeline that we averted.
So it's not clear to me whether Nick Fuentes is suggesting that the deep state Republicans wanted to replace Trump, or the deep state in general. Like, it's not clear to me whether the deep state is partisan.
I think that they're partisan. I don't think that everyone in the deep state agrees on everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think that they all pretty much agree that Trump is not he's not with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On pretty much anything.
Which is so good. We need more of that.
Yeah, I wish, and I hope that this. I hope that something good comes out of this, and that it like puts some like a, you know, so, I mean, Trump's got a whole lot of steel in his spine, anyways. You know, the guy's obviously a resolute, you know, kind of a badass. You know what I mean? You know, like that would piss a lot of people off. But even people on the right, they'd be like,
"Did you see the video of him golfing this morning?" Yeah,
dude.
He said he got shot at 7 p.m. and made his 6 a.m. tee time. That's kind of badass.
I don't know if I heard that he was supposed to go to the UFC fight last night. I don't know if he actually made it, but if he did, that's fucking.
Oh, I would have heard about that. I feel like if he went.
I know. I didn't look, but yeah, I feel like I probably would have seen video.
Do you think this is just like a sort of a Dr. Evil scenario that I have in the back of my head? It's probably not realistic. I guess for reasons of plausible deniability. But do you think Biden knew and was waiting for that news to break?
Knew that this attempt was going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't think Biden knows anything. I don't think Biden knows what his middle name is.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Which is Robinette, by the way. It's a fucking weird middle name.
Joe's middle name is Robinette?
Robinette.
Joseph Robinette Biden?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Like the third or something.
Are you fucking
like
with
that.
me right now?
I swear to God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But what I was getting at with the steel in the spine is I hope that he gets more of it, and that he, you know, in that video clip, Nick Fuentes, you know, he threw some names in there that I think are on the good side. Like J.D. Vance, I think is a good guy. I think that he grew up in a very poor area where a lot of people tend to be anti-billionaire, anti-big business, which I don't think is inherently bad. But I think that his 180 on Trump, I believe that it's genuine. You know, I think that he is a smart person, and he, you know, like made a genuine, had a genuine change of heart about Trump. And he also mentioned Peter Thiel. It seems to me like Peter Thiel supports Donald Trump. Not like directly, but I think the things that Peter Thiel gets up to and does, I think would be made easier for him to do if Donald Trump was in power. Yep. And Peter Thiel doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to shoot himself in the foot. He's like a fucking mega genius, right. You know? So, you know, but I hope that a lot of these people that Donald Trump has let into his campaign and into his administrations that have like subverted his intentions, because there's been a bunch of them.
Yes.
In his former cabinet. Again, it's me couching my support for Trump, but it's the truth. He's let a lot of he said he's going to drain the swamp, and he put a bunch of swamp creatures into his administration. John Bolton, Nikki Haley.
He's going to have to be far more careful about that this time.
And I hope that this makes him see that.
I hope so, yeah.
I heard that he was potentially going to announce his president at that, or his VP pick at that rally.
Oh, really?
And now, I mean, the RNC is, I think, this week sometime.
This week.
I'm sure he'll just announce it then at this point. But
yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, Vivek, even though he's speaking at the event, he's not in consideration for the VP role. At least they're not saying he is, but JD Vance is.
Yeah.
So
I am not convinced that Vivek is not in the conversation, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
I would be just as happy with Vivek as JD.
Yeah.
I like JD Vance a lot, but man, Vivek has really grown on me.
I should know more about JD, but I didn't see the documentary, and even though he's representing us here in Ohio, I don't know anything about him really.
I also think that as a security policy, like an insurance policy on another assassination attempt, he should pick Vivek, because they don't want Vivek in power. They don't want to assassinate Trump if Vivek is the VP.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the next guy in line. It's like, okay, let's just let Trump ride this one out.
Right.
Because, you know.
Do you think there's any chance that Trump doesn't win the election after this? I mean,
So
I guess
that's
what I'm
another
saying
thing-
is, do you think this helps?
That's another thing that I wanted to talk about. And, you know, just like the implications, the things that are going to happen because of this. And that'll probably be what we have to, like, wrap up on.
Okay, yeah.
So there are a lot of people who look at the 2020 election and they're like, oh, if you think voting matters, you're stupid, you know? And I definitely understand that logic. I fully understand that logic. But there is also another part of me that thinks if it's... They, like, exposed their hand on the 2021. Like, it's, like, pretty obvious to a lot of people that something was weird about that election. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think it's going to have to be even more obvious this time. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to get away with it. So, you know, I don't know what to think. Like, there are people like Andrew Wilson, you know, of the Crucible. He doesn't think that Trump's going to win. Not because he's not more popular, not because he wouldn't win, but he thinks they're going to cheat and he's not going to. He thinks that they'll never let Trump back in, which, again, I understand. Andrew's a very smart guy.
Listen, I said just today that if Trump loses this election, I have absolutely zero confidence that that is legit, and I will be a part of the protests. Yeah. I've never protested anything in my life, but if that happens, I'm going to be part of the fucking protest.
You're going to be out there.
What else can you do? What else can you do? You have to do something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know that I'm going to be out there, but we'll see, you know. I think that... I don't know. I think that the only thing that you can do, I don't think that going out to a protest is going to change anything, to be honest with you. I think that they'll just sick the dogs on you, turn the fire hoses on you like they did.
If there's 500,000 people in front of the Capitol building or something, I mean, that's a demonstration. That's an important demonstration. You need to be able to show the powers that be, you're few and we're many, motherfucker, and we don't like this.
Yeah.
We need to be able to do that.
Yeah. I definitely see what you're saying, but I'm just not convinced that it would make any difference. I'm not black-pilled. I think that there are ways to make a difference, but I think it's going to be more like Machiavellian, you know, like counter-elites making moves behind the scenes and, like, you know, like seizing... Like, there's been a lot of people saying that Pete Quinones, he said something... that they either broke Donald Trump with this or they created Caesar. Why
has he got to be Caesar? Why has he got to be Caesar?
Because
Caesar's a guy that doesn't relinquish power.
If they're the ones who are not relinquishing power, the deep state are the ones who are not relinquishing power.
Oh, that's the Caesar. Okay.
No. Trump is like a counter elite who will be. I mean, you know. I don't know if he will or not, but could be the new Caesar. The only way you're going to beat current Caesar is by counter elites instituting a new Caesar. You know, there's no other way. You're going to vote Caesar out.
Well, I mean, there wasn't any voting after Caesar became Caesar.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you get rid of them?
Violently. You don't, or violently.
I mean, there's some level of violence, but I don't think it has to be like like we take everyone and put bullets in the back of their heads or anything. I don't want that.
I am Spartacus.
Yeah, man. But yeah, like I said, there's people on, like I have like this schism down the middle of my online group of friends in like many ways. But one of them is you've got people like Andrew who say there's no way he's getting back in. There's no way they'll ever let him back in. And then you've got people like Thomas777, who say that it's official. Trump's winning now, and I don't know which side to agree with,
I think this is going to show something interesting. Once this assassination attempt occurs, I think that makes Trump a more sympathetic candidate, and he did a great job of, I don't know if you would call it spinning it, but he did a great job of taking advantage of the PR value of that event with his fist in the air and all that stuff that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Where am I going with this?
I don't know.
Neither do I. I've forgotten. Shit, it's gone.
But
go ahead. Sorry.
Do you have it again?
It came and went. It happens.
I do think that we're already. You're like, I said that maybe we need Trump to be new Caesar, and you like bristle at that. I've been saying that kind of stuff for close to a year or maybe more.
I don't think. Listen, this is what I want. I want Trump to win
fair and square.
Fair and square. I want it to be a slap in the face, and this is the point I was trying to make. What I'm hoping is really a minority of lefties that are going to hate Trump forever, regardless of the situation. I think this assassination attempt may show some people the error of their ways, and then when the vote happens, what that shows us is, okay, what percentage of the Democratic voting base really, really are that extreme that they're going to vote against Trump, even when their own side tried to have him killed, and their candidate is a 90-year-old man that can't put two sentences together. If you still vote for Trump, or for Biden rather, that gives us a good idea of what percentage of the liberals are really out of their fucking minds.
Yeah,
and I hope that number is smaller than we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, could it be exactly what the mainstream media frames it to be? Everybody thinks this way, and we're in the super minority. Could that be the case? Maybe, but I just want to see some other.
What if it's like half and half?
Boy,
what if it's okay? So like everybody's defending democracy. Democracy is this beautiful thing. What if it's we're the 49%, they're the 51%?
Yeah, well,
democracy says that we just have to fucking deal with it.
Majority rules, yeah.
And I'm not down with that, man.
Yeah, I'm not down with that either.
I think in that situation, I'm fine with like the counter elite, like I'm fine with democracy being subverted.
I don't think that Trump will be a Caesar. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying he won't be a strong man or a strongman leader.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's not going to say, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to be the president forever. I don't think that's even the smallest possibility.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that where we might separate a little bit is I think that we are going to need somebody who is comfortable with doing that sort of thing, Otherwise, I don't think anything's going to change.
Yeah. So I was trying to talk about what I want from Trump if he's reelected. Mm-hmm. Let me just tell you what I really want to see. I want there to be a slap in the face for the lefties that hate Trump violently for like crazy people. I want that gesture. But I also want Trump to come in and overturn the tables of this lawfare that's been going on. I don't know what that means. I don't know what has to happen, but his two priorities need to be getting all of the illegals that have been allowed to come in here for voting purposes and all that nonsense and remove them, because the fucking rule of law is important in this country. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the lawfare. It's figuring out how it is that the CIA and the FBI and the Department of Justice and fucking judges on various courts and all this stuff can be so partisan and so weaponized and so intentionally and organized. That needs to be busted up to never be able to happen again. I mean, it's so important, because if that doesn't happen, then we're lost. This last several years has proven to the powerful people that they can do more than they ever thought.
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't disrupt that thought pattern and apparatus, whatever allows that to be possible, it needs to be permanently fucked so that it can never happen again. It's that important.
The thing that you said there that I think is like something that we should focus on is you said that you don't know how that happens. You don't know what that means. And I think you said the first one was that you want there to be some kind of a like slap in the face and correction of the people who buy into it. What does that mean?
I think Trump getting elected does that.
Yeah,
I think Trump winning the popular vote does that. Enough for me.
Yeah, but does it do it enough for the people who are doing it? Like those people, the John Wilkes Booth, the guy doing the seance for John, is it enough for him?
Is it enough for him? You mean to
slap in the face to like?
To
put him in his place.
I don't think we're changing anybody's minds. I just want people to. I feel like those people are. I feel like they're bullies. They're like nerds that have become bullies. Yeah. It's like a paradox. We're living in the upside down land.
Yeah.
How is it that these fucking nerds with purple hair that don't even have sex anymore, Kyle? They're fucking nerds. How is it that nerds have all this power? How is it that nerds are influencers? How is it that I just don't understand. We live in topsy-turvy land because meritocracy is gone. There's a reason why the fucking high school football player gets all the pussy, because he's at the top of the hierarchy, and that exists for a reason.
Yeah.
I
just don't think, and my point where I was going with that is I don't think I don't think we right the ship with democracy. I'm like very skeptical about that happening. I
mean, if I don't know, I can't really use the word we, because I don't know what that fucking means, but if we were winning the culture war, the democracy be all right, wouldn't it? So maybe the battle is theirs.
If we were winning the culture war, well, when I say if we were winning the culture war, democracy wouldn't be a thing. I mean, it just wouldn't be a thing.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand. If the culture war persuades 51% of the people, then democracy is totalitarian. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but at that point, democracy stops being democracy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It becomes something different. And what that means. I'm not the person who's going to be building the new thing. I'd like to be involved, but so one other thing that just like a small thing. It's like tangentially related. Did you notice that one of the Secret Service, and more than one of the Secret Service people were women?
Yes.
The fuck is that about?
It's a good question. And not only that, but I'm sure you saw there's two or three things that they showed with the female agents. One of them was several of the women struggling to reholster their guns.
Yep.
And right when the shots happened and Trump fell down to the ground, one of the women on camera was heard saying,
"What are we doing?
What are we doing? What are we doing?" Yeah.
I think it's interesting. There's like a juxtaposition, or I don't know if that's. There's like a way that the women on the stage, the Secret Service agents, were behaving, and there was a way that the women in the crowd were behaving.
Yeah.
Like the women in the crowd are screaming.
Yeah.
You know, like they're, and I understand they're women. You know.
Right.
They're losing their minds. They're very scared. The rationality's gone out the window. There's one video. It was like somebody was recording up at the shooter.
Yeah, I saw that.
And women are screaming, and there's just a guy in the background. He's like, women screaming their fucking heads off. This dude's like, all right, he's looking this way. Everyone be careful. You know, just very rational, very collected.
Yeah.
And then you have these women on the stage who like dive on top of Trump.
Yeah.
So that's good, I guess.
Good, yeah.
I don't think that it makes any sense to have them up there doing that. I think that is a failure of us as a country to have women in that position. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're not screaming, but they are like, what are we doing? You know, like none of the guys are saying that. The guys, I'm sure they've drilled. They know what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not a Secret Service agent, but it seems to me like what you should be doing is covering the president, making sure that he's okay, waiting for the other Secret Service agents to tell you the shooter's down, and then you get him up and you get him the fuck out of there.
Right.
That's what they did,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And none of the men had to ask, what are we doing?
The other thing that I'll add to that is, and I can see all your points that you're making. One thing that adds to your argument here is one of the women was on the front side of Trump, facing the audience, the stage. Right, that's the side from which the shot came from. Right, she was not tall enough to cover Trump.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Trump's a tall guy.
He is tall.
Yeah.
But his entire shoulder and head was above her head.
Completely exposed.
And everyone kept putting their arms up to try to cover his face. Like a bullet's not going to go right through your hand into his head.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is she wasn't even tall enough to be a reasonable, I want to say obstacle, but something preventing you from seeing him, whatever word I'm searching for. She couldn't even do that because she was... You know, I'm sure an average height woman, but maybe not the best person to be there.
Yeah. I just, I mean, I've said this before. Positions like police officers, firefighters, soldiers, Secret Service agents, security guards, even like private venue security guards, women should not be allowed to have those jobs, even if they meet the requirements. No, you're not allowed to, because it like opens the door. It's like when you make the exception for the women who can do it, it's like, well, we got women doing it, you know, and I just don't think it should be allowed. And it's not strictly physical things. You know,
Clearly,
it's like,
yeah.
women, it's like, what are we doing? That's not a physical thing.
Right.
But I think like if you get locked into an octagon with me, my fat, out of shape, you know, not extremely experienced in fighting, you know, you get locked in there with me and I stand a pretty good chance of fucking you up.
Yep.
You're not allowed to do it. And this might come off as controversial. I'm 100% sure that there are some UFC women who could beat me up.
Yep.
But I don't think they're doing it with strikes. They're not, you know.
They're not doing it with strikes, yeah.
You know, like I think that if I get close enough, you know, they might be able to hit me with a lucky punch. Might be able to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be way stronger than, honestly, even like the most stronger, you know. If I get close enough, I'm going to ragdoll you and I'm going to pick you up and throw you on the ground so hard. And now, could like Ronda Rousey maybe get me into an armbar? Sure.
100%, yeah.
But could she maybe not too? Like, if you put me in the cage with, you know, I'll just pick someone from my generation of UFC, like Frank Mir. Frank Mir is going to destroy me. I stand zero chance of landing a lucky shot. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to take Frank Mir down. If we get to the ground, I'm not going to be able to like reverse anything. He's going to choke me out. He's going to break my arms. He's going to knock me out. He's going to kick me in the head. He's going to do whatever he wants. Now, the best female fighter in the world, I think that I stand a chance of potentially coming out of that victorious. And I fully believe that. I'm not saying there's no chance that she will win. She could. She might. But the thing is, there's an aspect of luck to that, even with the most highly trained women in the world. So no, they shouldn't be allowed to be security guards. It's fucking retarded.
So I've been hearing some of this stuff online that you're talking about, and I think it's a conversation should be had about it. But do you think in the mainstream media, even after the videos of the failures of the Secret Service and the women that were up there being involved, do you think this will be discussed at all, like in the mainstream media?
In the mainstream media, no.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it'll be discussed online, but I think that the mainstream media is, the clock is ticking for the mainstream media,
Yeah.
What the mainstream media is going to change. It's been changing, you know? People like Joe Rogan, and I don't love Joe Rogan as far as like the message that he puts out there. But he gets more views than the mainstream media. You know what I mean? So things are changing. I think that people like Andrew going on Whatever and Fresh and Fit, I think that they're moving the needle more than the mainstream media is.
Absolutely.
And they're saying the right stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we only have a few minutes left. I want to show these 3 pictures that I booted
Oh,
up.
yeah. I completely forgot about that.
Can you share the Napoleon at St. Bernard Pass? I want to show 3 images here really quickly.
Which one
Napoleon right there. Yep. Share. All right. Can we go back to our... There it is. There it is. Okay.
So what is this?
So I don't know if anybody has ever seen this picture. I took a couple of humanities classes in college. Was introduced to some famous art and artists. I mostly prefer classical art. I'm not big on modern art. This is a much more modern piece, but it's beautiful. And what it shows is Napoleon at St. Bernard Pass.
This is a modern piece?
Well, from the time of Napoleon, when was that? That was like the...
Yeah, it's like, 1700s.
Yeah, when was that? No, that was later than that, Napoleon. Anyway, you can see this is obviously a military propaganda piece. This is fine art, and it was on display at a museum or whatever. But this was propaganda, so people would see this like noble looking picture of Napoleon. He's pointing up. We're going to pass through here. We're going to whatever. And I just loved it. I thought it was a beautiful picture, but I can see the propaganda value and demonstrating the leader of the country valiantly riding this horse, leading the army, in this dark, landscape, and this bright red cloak. I mean, this is a powerful picture, has a tremendous amount of PR value, and it reminds me of a picture of Adolf Hitler. So if you want to show that one, I'll continue with my tale.
Good old Uncle Adolf. Yeah, I think Napoleon was 1800s.
Yeah, that sounds right. Maybe it was like the early 1800s.
But the reason I asked is because, like you said, modern, and the style of that is not like modern.
Oh,
art,
yeah.
It's very much like a classical style. That's why I was
like
asking.
Renaissance style. All right. So many of you guys have seen this picture probably. This one's got a really cool story to it. Maybe the image is too small to tell, but underneath Hitler's eye, this is Hitler depicted as a Teutonic knight. So he's like an Aryan knight, and he's carrying the swastika flag, and he's in the shining armor. He's on horseback, just like we saw with Napoleon, riding into battle. And I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but underneath his eye, there's this black smudge of looks like dirt under his eye, and it makes him look like. Not is he this shining beacon like his armor's glowing in the sun, but he's actually in the shit. He's dirty.
He's like Alexander the Great.
Like Alexander the Great.
Yeah, so Dan Carlin's most recent podcast is about Alexander the Great, and you have him going up against I can't remember what the name of the Persian king is. It's not
Not Darius.
Yeah, it's later than that. But whoever it is, like, that guy was not really, like, riding into battle. You know, like, a lot of these, like...
It wasn't Mithridates, was it?
It definitely wasn't that. But,
going.
you know, a lot of these leaders, they might be on the battlefield, but they're behind the lines. They're, like, there to give, like, a moral boost.
Right.
But think about how much of a moral boost it is when Alexander is, like, the first person into the charge. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean that's it's like giving that kind of a vibe.
So before we move off of this one, so the one thing I want to tell you about the smudge on his face, because it's the coolest part of the story. So this painting was in a museum. It was on public display. This piece was designed as propaganda.
Yeah.
So, and of course, in the Second World War, that was like the height of propaganda. So people would go and see this in the museum, and there was a protester, like the people that throw soup and paint on stuff. One of those people went to the museum and had black ink on him. And when he saw the painting, he immediately smeared the black ink on the face of the Hitler before they tackled him.
Yeah.
The thing is,
they made it better.
The smudge made it better. Yeah. Now he actually looks better. It has even more propaganda value.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that propaganda, we talked about this in an episode not too long ago, a few weeks ago, is not too far off from the truth with Hitler, which they don't want to talk about. But, you know,
I don't know if you're comfortable with this, but I saw one of those AI translations. They have like a 30-something minute speech of his now that's totally done in English with his voice, and I was completely blown away by some of the things that he said. Yeah. If you want to cover that on the podcast, okay, we'll have to talk more about that.
Why would I not be comfortable with that?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm like super comfortable with that. But yeah, I mean, you know, we've talked about it. Hitler was kind of a badass in World War I, like a legit badass.
Oh yeah. The fact that his mustache was cut short so that he could wear the gas mask,
and that kind of ties into the next picture that we're going to bring up.
It does. So let's look at the next picture.
Okay, we gotta go to no, not
share.
that.
Yeah, share. Bottom.
There it is.
So you can see why I teed it up the way I did. This picture of Trump surrounded by Secret Service, he's almost like forcing himself out of their protective arms to give the audience that fist of power. He's just said the word fight and has got blood on his face and his lips are all scrunched up, and it's a badass picture, man.
Right after someone shot him in the head.
Right after someone shot him in the head.
I mean, yeah, man. It's like inspiring. It is. You know, like him or not. Like, I've seen a bunch of people who do not like Trump who have said it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
You know? I'm going to take this off of here.
Yep.
Oh, man, we got a bunch.
Just, there we go.
Jesus, look at all of these. Yep. Anyway, all right, whatever. But yeah, there's definitely, and that's not, the funny thing is that's not even a painting. That's a picture that like really happened.
Yeah.
You know, like those other ones, that's an artist's interpretation. That's like literal propaganda, you know, whereas this, it's going to be used as propaganda for sure, but it's like reality playing out, you know? That's not even the best version of it too. You've seen there's the one that's like taken from down below, and the Secret Service, and he's got his fist in the air, and there's an American flag behind him.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
It's fucking great.
Well, the point is that it's a powerful image, man.
It really is.
So that's it for me, man. I don't have anything else. What about you?
Let's see here. I actually might have that one.
Oh, that image? Yeah, let's see it. Hold on. Oh, there we go.
Let's see if I can share this. And we'll end on this one. Where is it? Which one is it?
Top one. Yeah. Share. There she is. I wish it was bigger, but yes, you get it. Yeah, that's nice, man. That's nice.
Yeah. That's definitely, that's going to be one of the, so this event, this is like one of the most historic things that's ever happened. You know, this is like a defining moment in history.
Yes.
Hopefully. And yeah, that picture kind of, it's like the exclamation point on it, you know?
Yep. I think that's the way to end it.
Yep. All right. Later, guys.
Well, there you have it. That's one avenue explored, but infinitely more still to go. I hope you enjoyed thinking along with us. I know. It's not easy work. Thinking. It's hard and full of uncertainties, but I'm grateful for the company as we trek through this together. Here's to hoping that the juice is worth the squeeze. See what I did there? Let's find out together in the next episode.